Hey guys, Brandon Kowalas here, Director of the Salt Lake Community College Concurrent Enrollment Program. And today in this episode, I'm going to introduce you to some of the most critical individuals within our concurrent enrollment program, the most vital relationships that we have to maintain, and those are with the concurrent enrollment coordinators in the high school. Now, back in the episode where we sort of went through our organizational structure, I mentioned these individuals. The coordinators at the high school, the concurrent enrollment coordinators, are basically the individuals who own the concurrent enrollment program at each high schools. They may be head counselors, they may be work-based learning coordinators, they might be CTE coordinators. I mean, there's the whole gamut of individuals who are assigned this responsibility, typically by their high school, when we enter an agreement to do concurrent enrollment with them. So those individuals are assigned, and their responsibilities include things like helping students to ensure they're admitted, that they're registered. They make sure that the instructors who are interested in teaching concurrent enrollment get their applications in, and a whole bunch of other responsibilities. So today, I'm going to introduce you to a couple of these partners and have them talk about sort of how this relationship works, some of the responsibilities that they have, and then I'm going to dive into our MyCE system, our Canusha system, and show you some of the tools that we've created for them to help them do their jobs a little bit more effectively. So with that said, let's go ahead and head over and introduce you to a couple of our concurrent enrollment coordinators. So today we are fortunate enough to be talking with two of our concurrent enrollment coordinators out there who are going to share with us from their perspective sort of how this whole coordinator structure works out in the high school, having this individual who is an employee of the high school who also sort of helps us to operate the concurrent enrollment program out there in the high school. So we're going to be talking today with Jane Nate, who is the concurrent enrollment coordinator at Olympus High School, and the Olympus High School is in the Granite District. And we're going to be talking also with Wayne Ditmore, who is the concurrent enrollment coordinator in the Canyons District. So first of all, I'd like to thank both of them for being willing to spend some time here sharing with us sort of how the program operates there in their school and going through some of the nitty-gritty details of what they do on sort of a day-to-day basis. So the first question that I'd like to start with is, some people out there may be wondering, how do you get this work if you're not paying the people there in the school through the concurrent enrollment program to do this work? I mean, how are they making it? How are they making time to do this? How do you find people who will sort of volunteer to make this happen? So I'm wondering if they can talk a little bit about some of their other responsibilities besides concurrent enrollment, and then we'll talk a little bit about how exactly they are funded. But first of all, Jane and Wayne, what are some of your responsibilities, outside of concurrent enrollment?
I am the program manager for our financial literacy courses. I do the 7th grade college and career awareness program. I do the education pathway training program. Plus, we are implementing in Granite School District a proficiency-based learning program. So these are some of the things I oversee along with concurrent enrollment.
So I think other responsibilities that I balance with the concurrent enrollment, I oversee all of the equipment purchasing for the CTE, the Career Technical Ed department. We have on our campus 18 CTE teachers, and so any equipment or supplies that goes through me. So that becomes very busy at the beginning of a school year. Oh, I forgot to order this. Can we get this ordered? Type of a thing. So I'm doing all of the equipment and purchase ordering for the CT department. And in addition, I help track state pathways for all of our students so that by the time they're a senior, our goal is that they have completed the pathway requirements according to the Utah state guidelines of 3 credits or more inside of a CTE state pathway. So I help students track that. In addition, if we have new teachers, we as coordinators help to mentor those new teachers if they're CTE teachers in the department. I'm also part of the student registration team. So this is a busy time of year as new students are coming in. We get them registered, try to get as many graduation requirements into that schedule as possible. If any schedule changes need made for our tech center students, I also take care of those here at the school. If they're adding a program, dropping a program, need to get their high school schedule worked out because of that CTech program over at the tech center. And there's probably a lot of little tiny things that come across our plate. I also am a member here in our school of what we call Building Leadership Team. We call that the BLT party, but we've never had a sandwich yet. But we're the Building Leadership Team. There's a group of about 15 of us. We work with the admin on new programs, initiatives, curriculum updates, things like that. And then I also serve on our school community council, which is majority parents that are serving on that with a small piece of faculty.
Could you maybe give us a sense of approximately how much time those different responsibilities take, at least, in relation to your concurrent versus your other responsibilities that you have there at your high school?
At the end of the school year and at the first of the school year, while we get students registered and we get them applying for admissions to the colleges. So it just depends on the time of the year. So during those times, probably 50% of my time would be working on concurrent enrollment. And then other times of the year, maybe 5%. So just depending upon when registration is, that takes our time.
For me and other coordinators in our particular school district, I would say it's about half or a little bit more of our time is dedicated to concurrent enrollment.
Now, just one last question before we dive into sort of the the details of what you do on a daily basis. I'm just wondering if you could maybe talk to us about how your position is funded. I mean, if you happen to know how that works there at your school or within your district.
For me, my funding comes through career and technical education. And I do receive a stipend for running the concurrent enrollment program here at our school. I have an administrative assistant who also helps in the process. We try and divide the responsibilities. I primarily work with the teachers, but she helps with the students. In the fall, though, we are both working together in an effort to get all of the students registered for our courses.
Our CTE coordinators in our district, we are funded through regular FTE.
Okay.
I say it comes through regular FTE, but that also is a money that is given to the CTE director. So she says she covers our salaries, but at the same time, that does not come out of concurrent enrollment money. That really comes out of her share of FTE.
Okay.
The concurrent enrollment money that comes back to each of our schools, at least for my school, my principal works with me very closely on how to spend that. And every school is a little bit different. How can we spend that back on professional training for teachers? Can some FTE go towards concurrent enrollment teachers, that type of thing? But I feel privileged that I get a say-so in how those concurrent enrollment funds that come back to the school, how they get earmarked.
So now that we've sort of laid some of the groundwork, we've got a sense of sort of how your positions are structured there, what percent of time this takes up for you. I'm wondering now if you could maybe go into some detail on what you do on a daily basis, sort of throughout the semester. Maybe we can start with sort of student registrations, then we can go into some of the other things that you do within the scope of your responsibilities. So if you want to go ahead and maybe talk a little bit about that, that'd be great.
So a lot of my summer hours are spent qualifying those students, making sure that they're in the right class or the right placement. If not, I can email them, let them know that they're not qualified, and offer them some other options.
We would put this course on the course registration card for the coming year, and students will select the concurrent enrollment course that they are interested in taking. We then send them an email or deliver them a notice to their classroom, giving them all of the information on how they apply for admissions to Salt Lake Community College. We try and get that done before the school year ends, so they'll be ready to go in the fall. That doesn't always happen. We have some stragglers and we have to get them applied for for admissions. And then when the school year starts, we bring classes down to either my computer center, or we will go to the classrooms and we'll help them get registered. And of course, the teachers help also. So we try and help the students in a way that it seems easy, so it doesn't become a burden to them to take a concurrent enrollment class.
Now, I wanted to pause here for a second and just because the audience may be wondering, well, what size of program are we talking about here as we get into the nitty gritty details of how you operate? And we talked about the percentage of time this consumes on at your schools. But I just wanted to mention that when it comes to Olympus, I think we're talking maybe between 400 and 600 students who are participating in your program, which could be, maybe between 700 and 800 registrations, and some of those students may take more than one class. And then at Corner Canyon, it's somewhere between, I think, 600 and 800 students, so that may be anywhere between 700 and 900 registrations. So I just wanted to clarify that in case anybody had questions out there. So with that said, go ahead and continue. We were talking about student registration process.
So really, once school starts, our goal usually is that our students, the majority of them, have already completed the admissions process. Many of them are returning students from last year that took some concurrent. But all of our new students, we'd like to see as many as possible already in to the system, that they've completed the process. For those that haven't, that's the first group of students we work with that we tell them, we give them about a week. Let's get admitted. We'll take care of the admissions, track that, give them some instructions to usually do that at home. And so while we're also doing admissions, we're visiting other classes and working on the actual registration piece of uploading a course registration number into the system. And we usually do that. The most efficient way that I find is we take a set of a computer card or a Chromebook card, and we take that to the classroom, and the teacher knows we're coming. She'll just turn the time over to us, and we give out the Chromebooks, and immediately those students, we give them instructions of how to upload a course registration number. Some students are great at this.
Now, let me pause you for just a second here, Wayne, just so that folks out there kind of understand what you're talking about. When you say CRN upload, what you're really referring to is the registration process.
Yes, we're actually talking registration. So I actually take a whole set of computers with me to do that. And some students are brand new, and so there's the one-on-one help of, I usually take an assistant with me to those classes, the teacher's there, and then there's always a few students in those classes that have had other concurrent. So we'll rope them in with us and just say, hey, lean over to your neighbor, help them do this, get them through the process. So the registration, the big first thrust of registration goes quite smoothly. Then we go back and we have to mop up if there's any errors that the student is receiving. So we start visiting with those students one-on-one. After we have visited a class, and maybe there's a class of 36 and 25 got in the first time around, we'll start working individually with the rest of those students to make sure registration works, uploading that number into the system. So we'll spend the first 2 weeks of school, actually the first 3 weeks of school, admissions and registration, updates on admissions, taking care of helping students, saying, hey, you've got a small balance hold, you owe some money to the college, probably last year's tuition that you forgot to pay, getting them through all of that. One thing I really like about the whole concurrent enrollment process is just how realistic this is for kids. Now I should say students, it is so realistic of, it's different than AP. And so they really do have to make sure I'm a student of the college, I'm admitted, I've got my classes registered, I've got my uploads there on the CRNs, I've made sure my tuition is paid. I mean, we're training them to make it easy once they get down on a big campus. After the first 3 weeks of school, there's always going to be extenuating circumstances for a group of students. So we're going to be working with them, whether maybe they came to our school from another school or waiting for that to happen in the system. There's always going to be a variety of some very unique situations that we're working with the college, taking care of those problems. So our goal is usually by the time we reach week 3, end of week 3, beginning week 4, we're hoping everything's just done, we're finished, and things are good to go.
We are fortunate that we have a great platform called MyCE to use. It's excellent in the fact that we can see when the students are registered for courses. We can also see when they've applied for admissions. We can help a student with their college number or see if they have issues. So that platform is a great platform to use. And then if there's issues, we also can talk to anyone at SLCC. We have 3 contacts there that we can call if we have any question regarding anything. We can call them on the phone, we can send them an email, and we usually get a response within a day, 24 hours, to help us solve the problems. It's actually a great working relationship when we know each other and we can work together to get things done.
At that point in time, there's a small break. Yeah, it seems like concurrent enrollment, it disappears for just a little bit for us. We're still working with teachers if they have issues. Maybe they're getting ready to do a contact with their liaison. They can't figure out how to do that. We'll show them how to do that. Many teachers need our assistance in helping students to upload a electronic portfolio, an e-portfolio. So we work with teachers on that as well. Before semester 1 is over, we're already looking at rosters, the high school rosters for semester 2. And so we're taking a look at who has requested to take a college course, and we're already visiting with those students in semester 1 or the fall semester, prepping them for semester 2, hopefully getting them admitted, taken care of. So that's a big piece of it right there. Many times that not only comes in a one-on-one visit, but emails to parents. So the parents will be aware that their student has some work to do, reminding the student also through email. So we have a constant communication going on with students, teachers, parents, all working together. By the time semester 2 ends, and we think we're approaching the end of the year, we've already taken a look at the course registrations for the following year. So we really take a look at it. It's a big circle as that keeps going around. It never really ends totally. We're either working on the current semester, getting ready for a second semester, or as we start closing spring semester, we're preparing for the next school year, trying to get as much legwork done as we possibly can.
Awesome. So now I'd like to shift gears a little bit and maybe see if you guys could talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you face out there within your responsibilities as a concurrent enrollment coordinator, and then maybe a little bit about how you have addressed those challenges.
One challenge that I think it frustrates all of us a little bit is there's always a handful of students that love to procrastinate. I mean, that's their favorite hobby. And so, okay, I'll go do that tonight, Mr. Ditmore. I'll take care of that. And the next day comes, or sometimes we'll even wait for 48 hours to see if they've been able to get themselves admitted, paid the $40 admissions fee, and we don't see anything. We'll go back and go, oh yeah, I'll do that again tonight. I promise I'll do it tonight. And so that was always a challenge of making sure that you're appropriately encouraging the students. I say appropriately because sometimes I feel like we just need like a taser or something. Like, okay, come on, we're going to have to do something here to move you along here. Sometimes I send either an email or a phone call even to parents asking them for some help, just sending this homework assignment home with your students, so to speak, as an assignment he or she needs to get admitted to the college. So that's a little bit of a challenge that we don't have control over all of the getting everything done in a super timely manner as fast as we would like to do. Another challenge that's probably a little bit more significant is that particularly as we opened our school 8 years ago, we were a brand new school. And so the faculty we hired, they were young, they were dynamic, they were passionate, but very few had a master's degree. Mm-hmm. And so we started out with just a skeleton little collection of classes that we could really offer. We had attracted a few teachers from other schools that already had been approved for concurrent enrollment. So we were able to offer 1 or 2 math courses, an English 1010, and then we grew from there.
Some of my responsibilities include getting teachers who are eligible to teach concurrent enrollment. I go to my principal, I see if we have teachers who may be qualified. We try to look at these teachers as potential applicants when they apply for positions here at our school. I sent out an email to all my teachers, anyone who is interested. We take a look at them, see if we can get them qualified. And then I submit an application through through Salt Lake Community College. And then they have it set up so that different deans of the colleges either approve or do not approve these teachers.
And so the challenge comes of working with teachers of what benefit would they have by teaching concurrent, and then talking to them about an advanced degree that not only is that going to be an increase on the pay scale for the school district, but in some schools there is some stipend money that is available for teaching concurrent enrollment because we have some higher expectations for those teachers. They do a little bit more work. And so we talk about that. And over the years, we've had many of our teachers get master's degrees. Another challenge that we face, and maybe this is nationwide, I'm not quite sure why concurrent enrollment, or in some cases it might be called dual enrollment. I'm not sure why some people consider this to be less than AP as an advanced placement. Sometimes it is very challenging to go to a teacher and talk to them about concurrent, and they'll say, no, if it's not AP, I'm not going to do it. And so we try to talk through the pros and the cons of maybe we can even do both. And actually at my school, most teachers have been quite open to that. We offer AP and concurrent in the math department. We offer AP and concurrent in our English department. Same in our CTE department. We have some AP courses and we have some concurrent enrollment. And once teachers really understand that it is good for students to have a choice, that helps to overcome that hurdle. But I think that is a challenge that we need to overcome a little bit of a stigma or false news, whatever we want to call this, that some people think that dual enrollment, concurrent enrollment is less than advanced placement. And we need to just think of this as we have two ways of earning college credit. They're very different from each other, and students need some choices. So I think those are maybe some of my biggest challenges that I have. We expect some new ones this year with COVID, but generally speaking, anytime the challenge comes up, there's usually a way of getting through it. I know many times I've been emailing you, calling you, we call other coordinators. Sometimes we put our heads together to solve things, but almost always there's going to be a way of getting through them.
That's awesome. Thank you so much to both of you, Jane and Wayne, for being willing to take some time to share with the audience here sort of how things function and operate at the coordinator level out there in the high school when it comes to running a concurrent enrollment program. Now, before we wrap up, I just want to give you guys one last chance here to maybe share some words of advice to those out there across the nation who are, in this sort of the infancy stages of building a concurrent enrollment program, building these partnerships between higher ed and public ed or secondary ed out there. I mean, what advice would you give folks out there across the nation who are looking at establishing something sort of like what we've got here in Salt Lake or some other variation of it?
If I were an administrator or in a position of wanting to have some concurrent opportunities inside of my high school, I think the first thing I would do is make sure we've got a contact with the local college. They're on board with this. And then it's that ability to go out and talk with teachers and be able to get a teacher approved for the concurrent enrollment. And that starts small. So my advice would be look at things in a small way or a doable way at the very beginning. If you think you're going to be offering 16, 18, or 20 concurrent classes your very first year, I don't know if you're going to be crazy or what, because I just think that's going to be an impossible task to do. Build up to that goal. That's what, as we just keep doing, we just keep building up and being able to offer more concurrent enrollment. But be able to start with 3 or 4 great concurrent classes. Students have a good experience. They talk to other students. This is the class you want to take. You get college credit for it. So the advice would be start small, continue to build the concurrent program, work closely with the college take a look at what the college can offer to you as a high school, and in return, what teachers can we get approved to be working with those programs and then working with those students that qualify for the courses. Don't put this off. If you've never done concurrent enrollment, this is something you do want to start. But start small. Get a team of people together that can start eating this little elephant one bite at a time. Doing this thing solo might be a big job. I have two 17-hour aides that assist me here at the high school. They are funded through career and technical education, so even concurrent enrollment doesn't even pay for them. So there are always ways of finding some people that will be available to help out.
Some of the things that I would say is to work with your principals to make sure that they are hiring qualified faculty at the high school level. I know that's hard, but it really is important if we want them to teach college level courses. Some of the other things I would do is to promote it among your students. Right now, we're trying to look at middle performer students and get them interested in taking a college course. Sometimes students think, well, I don't know that I'll do very well in college, but if they could take one class in high school and be successful, I really think that it would encourage them to continue on and get a college degree.
Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you, both of you, so much for taking the time again to share with us some of your insights. And we'll be seeing you out there in the high school. All right, so now that we've heard from a couple of just phenomenal individuals, and these two folks who you've heard from are just unbelievable. I mean, their programs are so solid. They're doing some fantastic things out there in the school. But now that you've heard from them, I want to now jump over into MyCE, into our Canusha system, and show you some of the tools that they use to perform their job functions and responsibilities. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive over into MyCE. All right, so here we are now over in MyCE, logged into one of the coordinator's accounts. Now, I'm going to go through some of the tools and features that exist in here pretty quickly. So if you want a little bit more detail on some of the features and tools here within the MyCE system, you can go to the Concurrent Enrollment website, slcc.edu/concurrent enrollment. Scroll down here to the section called High School Partners, and then you'll scroll down and you'll see MyCE tutorials for coordinators. And here we have a whole series of videos that goes into depth on each of the tools that exist in MyCE. But like I said, I'm just going to go through quickly here. So the first tool that you see is the View Students section. This allows concurrent enrollment coordinators to see a list of all of the students that have applied for admission at their school, whether or not they have completed the admission. So if they don't show up on this list, then they haven't completed admissions. So this is a way that this is a tool that they'll use to track whether or not a student has completed admissions. And they can go into the details here, which I'm not going to go into, and that'll show a list of all the classes the student has taken and any holds they have on their account, registration holds, and a bunch of other information so they can help students troubleshoot whenever they're going to register. Okay, let's go back here. The next is the View Offered Classes section. And this is going to show coordinators a list of all of the sections of classes that have been scheduled at their school. So these are approved teachers, and then these are the classes we've scheduled. Now, if they look at the list and they see that there's a section missing, then that's when they know to call our office and find out what's going on. Because if the class hasn't been scheduled, then when students go to register, there's going to be no class for them to register, and they're not going to get credit. So that's the classes section of MyCE. Now, I will go into the details here on one of these classes. Whenever they go into a class detail, they're going to be able to see a list of all of the students who have successfully registered for the class. So if they go through this list, this class roll, and they notice that there's a student missing, the student is on the high school roll, but they're not on the college roll, then that means the student hasn't registered. And they can reach out to the student and find out what's going on so they can help students get registered. Okay, now we're going to go into the support request section. If a coordinator ever runs into an issue where a student can't get registered for some reason, and they've tried everything they can think of to help that student to get registered, and it's just not getting resolved, they can submit a support ticket to our office. Now, the wonderful thing about these support tickets is back in the old days, we used to just handle this via email. And so what would happen is a coordinator would say, hey, we've got this student that's got an issue. And then we'd respond back and say, what's the student's name? And they'd say, oh, it's this. Okay, what's the student's S number? Oh, it's this. Oh, and do you have their birth date? Okay, and so you've got like 5 or 6 emails, maybe 10 back and forth, which is really cluttering up your box. So we created the support ticket system where they can now submit a support request one time. So here's the form that they fill out. So they'll fill out all the information and it pulls student name, their student number, their birth date, and any other information that we need so that we can resolve it as quickly as possible. So there's none of this back and forth anymore. So they'll fill out the form, and then back here in the list, they'll keep an eye on this list, and once it's marked as resolved, they know that it's been taken care of. They can reach out to the student and say, hey, it's been taken care of, go ahead and get registered. So we use support tickets for a lot of different things besides registration, but that's all I'm going to go through here. Okay, let's go back now to the main page. We have a section for course syllabi. This section allows coordinators, if they have an instructor who's interested in teaching a concurrent enrollment class, they can access both the college's curriculum outline and the syllabus so the instructor can get a sense of what is going to be required in that class from the college side. So that's where they find that information. We'll go back here and we'll go into the View Teachers section. Now here they're going to see a list of all of the teachers that have been approved to teach concurrent enrollment. They've gone through the hiring/vetting process to become a concurrent enrollment instructor, and they were approved. And so here it will show the teacher. If you click on View Details, it'll show a list of all the classes that have been assigned to that teacher. If they don't see a teacher here, they know there's a problem and they need to reach out to us. Okay, go back to the home page. I'm not going to go into the SSID Issues section simply because this is pretty much just something that's relevant to the state of Utah, but it basically allows us to correct data mismatches. So at the end of the year, the college submits their data to the state, and we have to align that data to the state with what's in the high school database. And if it's not an exact match, first name, last name, birthday, gender, and SSID, which is the student's state number, then it doesn't match and we don't get funding. So this is a tool that we've created for coordinators to go in, see a list of students whose data didn't match, and send corrections so we can have a good data match. Next is the instructor application. So one of the things that coordinators do is submit applications for instructors who wish to teach concurrent enrollment classes. So every year, usually around sometime between November and March, if there's an instructor that is interested in teaching a concurrent enrollment course, they'll gather their resume, transcripts, and any other documentation that's required, and they will click here to submit the instructor application. So it's just a basic form they fill out. Once that form's filled out, they can track right here whether it's been approved or not. They'll see a list of all of the reviewers. Usually there's some high school folks, and then there's folks at the college. So they can watch as individuals review and approve or deny those, and then they can find comments if it's denied by clicking on the application, and then they can review and see what the person who reviewed it and denied it, what comments they said. Maybe they say the resume was missing, or maybe they say they need a master's in this and their master's in this. So they give some specific details. And that's applications. Okay, let's go back here. The next section is the reports section. So here, basically any data that exists in our Canusha system, our MyCE system, coordinators can dump that data in the form of reports. Now we create customized reports based on the needs of the coordinators. So this report, for example, let's do the class section export with students, is going to spit out a list of all of the classes that are scheduled at the high school with all of the students registered, so they can have that data. And there are specific fields that the high schools need in order to more effectively monitor that. So we have reports for classes, students, and teachers, which they can generate with different parameters here by selecting the term, and they can get the data that they need. One of the reports that I think is kind of neat is the student semester credit load and the student total credits earned. This will shoot out a list that'll show all of the students who are taking classes that semester and how many credits they've registered for. And then it also includes their GPA. Does that for the semester. This one does it for the entire academic history of each student who's taking a class any given semester. That then allows them to see if there's any red flags. If there's a student that's taken 12 or 15 credits and they have a 1.8 GPA, that's a problem, and they need to have a conversation with that student. So that just gives you an idea of some of the reports that exist within the MyCE system. Just a couple more things here. So the next is the high school CE personnel. This is going to show the coordinators a list of all of the folks that we have on file at the high school who are somehow involved in concurrent enrollment. The principal, assistant principal, any counselors, secretaries, those sort of individuals. And every year we have the coordinator go through and make sure that the information is up to date. So when we send out mass emails or need to make phone calls, that information is accurate. Okay, the very last thing that I'll show you, because editing your profile, is pretty self-explanatory, are the view degree plans. So when a student submits an academic plan to an advisor, and that student is at the school that the coordinator is working at, they can see those plans, and so that will give them a sense of what are students' goals. What are their academic goals? Are they working towards an associate? Are they working towards a one-year certificate? What is their plan? So this gives full transparency so that the counselor and the advisor and the concurrent coordinator know exactly what's going on in the lives of their students. All right, so hopefully that has given you some ideas. It's got the juices flowing again on some different ways and some things that you can do to partner with folks out there in the high school so that you can sort of better distribute the load and then also strengthen what it is you're trying to do within your program. Because the more you partner, the more you develop strong and positive relationships with all of these individuals, these different stakeholders who are involved in your program, the more you're going to create a better student experience. You're going to give a better value add to the students, but you're also going to create an experience and be able to share those successes and the experience that you're going through with your high school partners and with others who are involved. So again, hopefully as we've gone through this, you've got some great ideas. You take those back into your program, your own version. I'd love to hear about those. I'd love to see them. Post them in the video below. And until next time, remember that nothing is impossible if you're resourceful, if you think outside the box, outside the walls that surround you and sometimes keep you locked in a certain way of doing things. Think different, and then have the courage to act. It may be scary, there may be risks, but I can promise you that as you pursue these things, as you try new ideas, as you experiment, you're going to have so much more success in your own program and much more fulfillment in the work that you're doing.